So we've already got 30,000 we could spend. And the board, ah! The rest, well, you can't do that. People won't have any confidence that they can cash out. The whole basis for the whole thing is that you can cash out.
Fear, yeah.
You know, so the fear, you know. So, I mean, I have no idea. Of course, the board isn't as educated as you guys are.
Well, anyways, you want to get a whole bank. Get enough to bank.
Yeah, once we get a bank, we're home free.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, you said, when you referred to buying a bank, you said national chartered bank? State chartered?
Well, if we have a state charter bank, we can only do business in the state it's chartered in. If you get a credit union that has a federal charter, then it can do a national membership. It's membership criteria. Remember that credit unions have to have a criteria that's either a category of people or a locale. They expanded the rules in order to you know, co-opt all the credit unions. They expanded the rules to a geographic area. Right? It used to be that you had to be some identifiable group, like a union, right? So now it can be a geographic area. But what that means is that if we get a credit union with a national charter, if we can buy a credit union with a national charter, the criteria for membership is that you belong to rCredits. You know, you've made the agreement. That's the same thing as the union or the whatever. So across the whole country. And it's all electronic now anyway, so, and the internet, you know, doesn't, you know, stop at the Mississippi or something, you know, it's like, hey, okay. So if you become an rCredits member and you can borrow at 0% for the cost of the loan, of administering it.
John, would you like to ask different people around the room questions about how rCredits, how far we've come, so you can get a sense of how much we're retaining?
Go right ahead.
Let's see. Okay, so Tom, how do you get your money into rCredits?
You have an account that you place some dollars in exchange for some rCredits that you can spend.
Okay, so what's the benefit of doing that, Sylvia?
When you transfer dollars into rCredits, you get a 10% bonus on the money you put in.
Does anybody else get a bonus?
The bonus, when you use your rCredits, when you spend your rCredits, the businesses you spend them with also get a 10% bonus.
So that's an increase of
20%.
of the money supply. So how do you decide what the percentage of the bonuses are? How do people decide? Where does that amount come from, Steve?
I'm still learning.
It comes from intense discussion. It's 10% because it's believable.
Yeah.
I was advocating for 25 because I didn't want to be ridiculous, right? And everybody points at, that's ridiculous, nobody will believe you. Okay, so the board wants 5%. Nobody thinks anything of 5%. I said, yeah, don't do that. Nobody thinks anything of 5%. It's got to be at least 10%. So finally, you know, we got around the circle. Eventually, in the 5th meeting. And what William had to do was to print up these things so that people could see it. 10% more, 10% back. If you're a business, you get 10% more, and if you're a consumer, you get 10% back. Now that looks quite reasonable. That's significant, but it's not unbelievable. So that's where the 10% comes from. In Brattleboro, we could say, hey, we're doing really good, let's make it 50%.
Does anybody find this useful to do the questions around?
I think it's,
The question was a good idea.
I like it.
Do you
Good,
have
but
any?
it's delaying our break, and then the slideshow.
Hey, we need a break, don't we? It's 8:30, 7:30?
When-
What time do we have to end?
We were gonna go to 7:45.
Oh,
to
okay,
the,
right.
to the break.
That's what I did, yes. You're in charge, I'm not.
Well, I was just thinking that if we could feedback a little bit, we could partially
is
could
good.
get at the questions.
But
Let me finish
when will
reading the
we have
agreement.
an opportunity to raise issues or ask questions, other than the ones that you ask us?
No, I think other people should ask questions.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I'm asking the right ones.
Good question.
Yeah.
So let me finish the agreement really quick, because everybody can read it for themselves, but we should have it. So you're always gonna exchange our credits 1 for 1. Right, dollars and there's no bonus or rebate or anything when you're doing a financial exchange. That isn't goods or services. It's an entirely different animal. No bonuses when you exchange our credits for dollars or dollars for our credits. It's always 1 for 1. So we're not gonna price our goods and services at a different price in our credits than we do in dollars. And and by agreeing that, we make everything way simpler. There are no discounts and what have yous and all of that stuff, and we will resist those mightily when they come up. And then you can't, yeah?
I don't know if I'm following this so far, and I read it and it didn't quite make sense to me, and you're telling me now. So if I wanna buy into our credits, take $1 US for a reserve note, deposit into my our credits account, and I get $1 our credit dollar to spend
Yeah,
within
I'm
the.
sorry, I
within the-
said that wrong when I talked earlier, I hope I didn't confuse everything.
No.
Yeah,
So now I have $1 our credit dollar to spend in the our credit community, common good community. So if I go to Tom's place and I wanna buy, like, say, firewood, you know, I can buy $1 of firewood, I can pay Tom with the Federal Reserve note, $1, or with a $1 our credit, right? And he can't say, well, it's $1 US, but it's $1.20 our credit, he has to just say
That's
one,
right.
right, okay. So, my understanding, so for my $1 US I put in my our credits account, I get an extra 10% of buying power within the our credits community. So now I have $1.10. So I can buy more stuff from Tom. So,
And Tom got $1.10 too, when he sold you the firewood.
okay, so he can accumulate all this extra money, but now if he ever wants to cash out his US dollars, so instead of $1, say he only does it once, $1.10. So when he goes to cash out his our credits, $1.10 he's got, how much US money does he get back?
He can only cash out the dollar, not the incentive.
Okay, that's what I'm trying
And
to.
if
He
you,
can spend $1.10, he can't cash it out.
yeah, you can spend it.
Right, okay, that's what I didn't understand.
So let me show you why that is.
Thank you. No, it does.
That was really helpful.
It makes a lot of sense.
Right, so we'll get to this when I don't know, I put it on never and it's.
It's never.
Yeah,
They believed you.
yeah.
Good snacks this week, somebody who.
So I can't cash out the incentives. And if the system ends within 6 months of receiving my first R credits, or before the community has enough revenue to cover the incentive rewards, I will give them back.
I have a question about that, because with the inflation adjustment and the bonuses, the system will never have enough dollars to cover
That's
the
right.
incentive rewards.
So
And
if we
so
end,
if you're requiring people to give them back in the form of dollars or accepting our credits for their services when they needed money, but they agree to accept our credits that are failing for some reason, that's requiring people to put dollars in for all these incentives.
right, and one of the things that you'll discover when you're talking to people is that if they have experience with the local currency, like Valley first, then in the Pioneer Valley, the system collapses and you're out all that money. So we're saying if it collapses in the first 6 months, then, so the 6 months is an anniversary that we celebrate. That no longer applies. That part of the agreement no longer applies.
After 6 months of the system.
Right.
So let's say you've spent a whole bunch and then you get like, let's say you get $50 in R credits. So you can only spend in R credits.
Mhm.
And everything fails, then you just forfeit those extra ones within the 6.
Well,
Right, you have
I
to
was
pay 'em
reading
back
that they
'cause
used
they
to
belong
pay,
to
you have to
someone.
put $50 in. Or, you know, if you were able to take your pay in art credits, it might be more than
Yeah,
just a few dollars.
yeah, absolutely.
And that
So
you
we
have to
would-
somewhere come up with,
Right, and we would have to sit together and come up with what we thought was just,
well,
using sociocracy.
Well,
actually it says, you know,
But this is the fallback,
it
right?
says that you would have to put in US dollars.
Yeah,
What's the question? I'm trying to understand what. Just ask it again, maybe.
Okay,
In 4?
if I do a lot of transactions, then I might be issued a lot of
Art credits.
art credit bonuses.
Okay, right.
And if the system fails for any reason,
You get your dollars back, but not the credits.
and not only that, I have to find some additional dollars, put them in the system according to the way I read this.
Oh.
Now, who would get those dollars? And, you know, why don't we all sort of absorb the loss of our own share of bonus art credits? Why would someone have to put extra dollars in?
because they
And where
got
would
paid
go?
with bonus art credits.
why would they have to pay more if they got paid with bonus R credits? Isn't that a nice thing to do, accept the R credits?
The problem is that if you got paid with bonus R credits, somebody else's bonus, right, R credits, and now they're useless, right, and you can't cash them out,
Oh, okay, right,
right, you're out.
right.
You had full expectation that you were getting full value, and so when you look at the whole system, you see that we have to come up with the bonus, you know, with this money that we created, if we're gonna make, and of course, a lot of people will just have money in savings, you know, that'll just be sitting in their account, it won't matter. Nobody's out any money because you have it sitting in your account. You traded dollars for R credits. The R credits are just sitting in your account. And if my computer would come back up, oh gosh, that is annoying.
Well, at least it went the right way.
If the, the point that I'm trying to make is that we make everybody whole by agreeing to do that if it doesn't work for the first 6 months.
And is that the agreeing to put in the average amount? That's been in our account?
That's the cash crunch. The cash crunch could happen anytime. We just
Yeah.
spent our escrow account and now so-and-so wants to cash out and they can't. That's different, that's the cash crunch.
Okay.
That could happen anytime. But once we've gotten past 6 months, we're good. We don't have to do this thing.
Okay,
Well, I
the
thought we're
link
good.
expansion doesn't say anything about 6 months. I know you did somewhere else, you said 6 months. In the big print agreement that you would check agreed, it says, I would back our credits up to my average balance over the past 6 months. No, but if the system ends, it
So-
doesn't say anything about 6 months there, so.
No, if I stop participating, or if the system ends within 6 months, so you don't get to keep your R credits if you, your bonus R credits if you stop,
Yeah.
right? And, I mean, we've had the situation where people have moved away, you know, fairly suddenly, gotta go take care of my mother out in California, you know? So we just deal with it.
Well, no, I understand why you couldn't cash them out, but I don't understand why you would have to come up with additional cash to put into the system.
Because people got paid for their goods and
No, I
services.
have them in my account,
Then
I
we don't
haven't
have.
paid anyone.
That's right, now we don't have to do anything about it. Cause you can have those dollars back.
Well, that
It's when
would be
people have been
cashing
paid,
them out.
okay, so there's more rCredits in the system than there are dollars because of the incentives. People have been paid with those, right, for their goods and services. So if they can't spend them, then they're out that money. And
Well-
we agree as a community and as and individually to come up with the amount of the bonuses that we've gotten in order to make everybody whole in dollars. Come up with the
So
value.
we're
Okay.
agreeing,
I
we're agreeing
couldn't
to
agree
make
to
dollars,
that.
make the bonuses into dollars.
It's sort of like a loan, that every bonus that I get issued, every 10%, if I buy firewood, and then I have a 10% bonus, or if I take my pay in our credits and I get a 10% bonus, all those are then actually really loans
For 6 months, absolutely.
to me, and then,
For 6 months,
For
yes, you're right.
yeah.
It's a loan for 6 months. So let's get past 6 months and then we can
Why do you say
celebrate.
we're good at 6 months?
What?
Why do you say we're good at 6 months? I don't
Because
understand.
that piece of the agreement doesn't apply anymore and we have to sit down and figure out what would be just and what we're gonna do about it if it happens.
Would it be helpful to look at what scenarios would arise to cause this to fail? That all of a sudden we would have to deal with this. So it would, the one that I would think of is that all of us that are trading in our credits would decide that we're no longer trading with one another. So there's absolutely zero transactions would be a scenario that the system would fall apart. And what are the chances if you have enough people and enough businesses that you're all gonna just suddenly stop buying things from one another?
So we had there was a time when we were role-playing all of this. We were wanting to see what we understood about the kinds of things that could happen, right? So rCredits is actually making an impact, right? And Fox News goes after us, and you know, these commies, they're blah blah blah, they're subverting everything, they're, you know, it's a plot, blah blah blah. And people get alarmed when Rachel Maddow comes in and she tries to defend us, but she doesn't understand the thing about what we're actually doing. So she makes the whole situation. We had fun. I mean, we spent a whole day setting this all up and then playing it out. And how would we defend what we were doing, right? So that's one of the things that you know, that could happen. Everybody has the feeling all of a sudden because of what's been going on in the media. You know, VPR puts on a thing about all everybody who's participating in rCredits is being built, you know, because there's nothing there. It's all smoke and mirrors or whatever, right? And everybody loses confidence, and so they stop, you know, so now we're in trouble. That's why I want a group of people who really understand what we're doing.
And the software could be compromised, although you know you have the good software.
Yeah.
But
Is the software open source?
Yes.
Um,
It's on GitHub.
that's good.
So if you can read GitHub, I can. I spend hours trying to understand any of it. I'm hopeless.
it's still not clear though, John. If somebody's getting paid in our credits, that's the money that, if it all goes bust, that's the amount of money that the common good has to fund from outside. Is that right?
No, the way you wind down the system so that nobody loses is by doing what Sylvia said, considering all the bonus money that you get in the course of the first 6 months as a loan.
We're at
Right.
Why
That's
is it a loan if it's an incentive?
because if the system
the
closes
system
down,
fails-
you'd have to pay it back.
I mean, I'm fine if it's cut off after 6 months, you know, I read at first
go
that would accumulate, so maybe after 3 years somehow,
No, no,
you
no.
have to come up with $3,000 or something.
Is
We,
it after
we are at the break if anybody wants to take it.
Right.
And is it after 6 months of the initiation of the program, or 6 months of me joining?
Oh, if you drop out within 6 months, then you should pay us the incentives that you received. If you stop after 6 months,
You mean
and we
before
can
6
always say, no, we're not making you do that, right? We can always have a policy that you have to talk to Emily, and if Emily thinks you shouldn't have to, you don't, and if she thinks you do, you do. Whatever our policy is, if you see what I mean. Whatever we come up with, you have to go to the committee, right? Or you have to exchange emails with the coordinator.
When you say give me the you give us the rCredits, you mean you forfeit the bonuses, but you get your cash, you get
Yep.
your American dollars back, but you just don't get the bonuses.
No, you're saying that you must
You have to pay your
pay
bonus in
your
dollars
bonuses.
Cause you've been using it.
into the system,
No,
because
you
you've been
haven't,
spending
even
it.
if you haven't
Well-
been using them.
What I wanted to show you was that the circulation piece is such that this is so unlikely to be a problem ever.
Do we wanna keep going now before a break, or this is break time if anybody wants it? Hey, who wants a break? I don't.
I think we should. I think it's a
Is
good
this
part. It's a
can
good
we come
spot,
back
good
in
break.
this, John, or do you need to go to next?
No, this is good.
What
This
time
is
is
the
it?
main thing. This is, the agreement is the whole thing.
We'll come back to this point.
The impression that you should have at the end of the agreement is that if I sign this thing, I'm taking it serious. It's not nothing. Right?
So you should go in it, planning to commit for 6 months, so you don't,
Yeah,
and supporting it,
yeah.
so we close.
Ta-da.
And this is all registered transactions, taxable, et cetera.
Excellent. 1099B.
So what about liabilities? If somebody slips on my sidewalk and sues me for more than I have dollars in the bank, or whatever, this is acknowledged as
Legal
You
tender.
can throw yourself on the mercy of your rCredits community and hope that they do something for you.
Can somebody sue you for your rCredits too, right?
well, that's
Sure.
that's the.
Or everybody's our credits.
But
Yeah, right.
but that could break our credit community back.
I don't think anyone, they could sue you for your rCredits, but they can't sue Sylvia for her rCredits.
Actually, I don't think they
She's
can.
on your property.
No.
I mean, they can try. I mean, look what they're doing with Obamacare at the Supreme Court right now. I mean, it's totally ridiculous if anybody pays attention.
No,
to
what
the
are they doing?
news.
I'm not.
I've been trying to figure out exactly that.
It's all in the wording of the law. When the legislative council writes the wording, they're the only ones who understand what it means.
Right, but the point is that we have no idea. Our strength lies in the sense of community versus the sense of competition. Everybody's, on their own in the existing society. Once we've had a few meetings to decide what to do with the money, and we didn't come to blows because we were really including everybody, I think we're gonna be really solid. So let's have a break.
Yeah.
We can finish the agreement quickly because the controversial things aren't there.
But